Go. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Natalie Elliott. I am a LPC and a LMFT. I'm also a supervisor for new clinicians in the field, both LAPCs and AMFTs. And I am here with the fabulous Samantha. And Samantha, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Samantha Edu. I am a licensed professional counselor and certified supervisor here in the wonderful state of Georgia. I do provide supervision for LAPCs.
Excellent. So Samantha and I have known each other for how many years? I don't, what year did you graduate?
Oh man, 2010.
Okay, so we're going on
So
10
had to
years.
be. Yep, 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
It
Who
is
knew?
amazing. Who knew? Who knew? And we met at the psych hospital. I was working there and she was doing her internship there. And
Mhm.
today we have both teamed up to talk to new clinicians in the field about the 8 mistakes we see new clinicians make. And so we want to help you. We want to guide you. We don't want you to make some of the mistakes that we see people making out there. And so we hope you enjoy this video. And I'm going to jump right in with number 1. And I'm going to tell a story with that. Um, the number 1 mistake I see clinicians making is not networking and not connecting. And in our field, especially in Georgia, so many of the jobs and opportunities come from who you know. And so many clinicians work in different settings. You just never know who will know somebody else who could help you out. So I'm going to brag on my friend Samantha. And Samantha, I worked at Riverwoods. I think Samantha was doing her internship. And when her
Mhm.
internship completed, she called me and she invited me
Mhm.
out to lunch. Do you remember that? We went to Moe's on Camp Creek.
Yes.
And so at the end, we had a fabulous lunch, just catching up. Where are you? How are you? And everything. And at the end of the lunch, Samantha gave me her resume and simply said, I'm looking for a job. Do you know anybody who's hiring? At that moment, I didn't, but I had her resume in my hand. A couple of days later, one of my friends just happened to become the clinical director of a facility and was looking for people to hire. And I was like, did you ask that? Samantha just gave me her resume. Here is her resume.
Right.
And so I mean, just, that was one of those things that had to be God. Like it just, the timing of it all. And then, I don't know, I think Keisha
There's
called
no other
you,
way.
what, a couple of days later, you were working at the Clayton Center,
She did.
probably about 2, 3 weeks later.
Right after that. And and was there for what, 4 years? Something like
Right.
that.
Right. And that's just one
Mhm.
lunch. That was just one connection. And I think for me, her making that one connection, I was just like, wow, this is a person who has their stuff together, who knows how to network. And I think this is a person that I want to keep in my life. And so I think it did 2 things. A, it got her job, which really has like transformed your career. Because I don't know if you would have started working at that CSB, would you have then
It
been
did.
doing the job that you were doing now? So
Right.
it really, like that one lunch, that one
Mhm.
connection launched your career. And so many people,
Right.
especially students that come from online schools, don't they undervalue the power of a connection. They underevaluate
Right.
the power of having one lunch with somebody and making one request. Here's my resume. Just happen. If you know anybody
Mhm.
who's hiring, call me. So that's my number 1 mistake. People do not connect and network
Mhm.
like they should. All right, Samantha, what's yours?
So mine is, I want to add to yours real quick.
Okay.
You were saying that's the one of the issues for online students. And if you remember at the time, I was an online student with Capella University, which I love. That's where I got my master's degree.
Okay.
And so I had to dig and dig and dig to find Riverwoods and to find a supervisor because I
Okay.
had to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
And so I knew what it felt like to have to call all these people, to have to like pave a little bit of the way. And so when I met you for lunch that day, mind you, I was terrified. I was like, is this too much? And then I was like, no, I really need a job. So
Well, do what
I
I
would
gotta
just
do.
do it. And
Right.
and I had already created a great relationship with you over the internship. So that's why that was so important to me, because I needed all of that over that time to have the courage to meet with you, to say, hey, here's where I am. Can I give you my resume?
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me into mine. The second one is because we are a part of this microwave generation, we want things to happen so quickly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
I find supervisees who really have a hard time grasping how to appreciate what to do in these 3 years, what to do in the time it's going to take to get that full licensure. And so sometimes it really will stunt your growth because you're trying to rush something that's a slow growing process.
Yeah.
If I had rushed through that internship, I wouldn't have created that relationship with you that made me feel comfortable enough to say that and bring my resume and
Right.
all of that to even happen.
Right.
So that's definitely my first is slow down,
Yeah.
don't rush it.
Yeah.
You would not believe I've heard, I don't understand why it has to be 3 years.
Right.
I'm already ready.
Right.
There's so much to learn in 3 years.
So much to learn. So much to learn. And I'm gonna piggyback off of that.
So that is, uh-huh.
Well, I'm a sex therapist, everybody, and our sex therapy training, they want it to take a minimum of about 18 months to 2 years. But it needs to, because there's so many beliefs that you have to change to be a really good sex therapist that can listen to anything that comes in the room. And so if the process went any faster, I honest to God probably would have had a breakdown. Like, because in my training to become a sex therapist, I had to go to therapy a couple of times. Like, because my beliefs were being challenged and changed and everything. And so sometimes the process is not just for you to become a better clinician, but also so that you arrive at being a good clinician with all of your mental faculties intact, like so that you're
Yes.
okay and mature enough and you can do the job. Because sometimes,
Yes.
listening to people's problems 40 hours a week can be a lot. But if you have like grown into that and gotten the supervision and therapy and things that you need along the way, then you won't find yourself burning out as quickly or being as overwhelmed. So I think that's a great point. All right, so I'm going to do my second point, which is kind of along what I just said, is I don't think enough clinicians specialize early on. And I'm going to tell you what specialization did for me. In Georgia, we have over 8,000 LPCs, I think over 2,000 social workers, over I think at least 1,000 MFTs. It's a huge ocean and sea of people. So if you specialize, it takes this huge ocean of people and it brings it down to a community. And so there's a community of sex therapists. And because there's a community of sex therapists and it's not that big, I know all of the sex therapists in our community. I either know with them, we've gone to the same trainings, we go to the same conferences. And so it really will make you feel like you have colleagues in the field, like you're not out here by yourself. And so I would strongly advise that you specialize. Usually in some specialty areas, it's only a couple of supervisors and the supervisors all know each other. And it just really will turn this wide world of counseling, which there's so many different things you can be in, and really bring it down to a community. Like after you see the same person at a training three times in a row, then y'all start to get to know each other. Then it's like, well, we might as well go to lunch. And then I think one lady was like, well, you going to the conference? We might as well be roommates, like, because we keep showing up at the same places. So I really believe that people should specialize and really bring the huge counseling community down to a small community, which they can be a part of and which they can be known. All right, Samantha, what's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Not, I want to see more supervisees being willing to explore. 'Cause just this really piggybacks off of the being willing to specialize,
Mm-hmm.
being willing to explore other options. Because what happens when you get into that internship or you get your first job,
Mm-hmm.
it is fast paced. Like my first job at the CSB was so fast paced.
Yeah, definitely
Clients
so.
are scheduled back to
Mm-hmm.
back to back to back to back, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have supervision, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, I've seen so many clients, I don't even know what to talk to you about today.
Right.
And so, it makes you, it almost makes you feel like you know what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
because you're seeing so many
Doing so much.
clients. So I must know
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Right.
But you have to think, even if the people around you aren't thinking this for you, you have to
Right.
think, I'm still learning and I need to find opportunities for me to learn. So right
Right.
now they have me only seeing adults. So I need to ask if I can just go and observe some child and adolescent population. Can I
Right.
go and observe some substance abuse groups? Can I just go on over to this residential program? Can I
Right.
even work in quality assurance to see if I would
Right.
rather not work face to face with clients? So you
Right.
have to be willing to go and explore other options and not wait till you're fully licensed and then decide, oh, wait, I want to try all these different things.
Right. Okay, great. I think that was an excellent one. And I think the more you know, like the more you can grow. Like in because
Mm-hmm.
it's a wonderful world. And then I think the other thing with when you know everything that's out there, you can really start to figure out what's the best fit for you. Because I think some people burn out, especially at CSBs, because they
Yes.
just wind up doing the same thing for years upon
Mm-hmm.
years, as opposed to saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm getting tired of this. I need to switch. So, all right. So
Right.
that was a great one. All right. So
Thanks.
we are on number, I think, 5. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm number
Mm-hmm.
5. Okay. So
Yep.
number 5, I think that new clinicians, a mistake that they make is they do not pay for supervision. And
Mm-hmm.
I get that as a new clinician in this field that we do not make a lot of money at the beginning. Like I so completely get that and understand that. With that being said, there are still some options for you to get some type of supervision. And so even if you
Mm-hmm.
just find a supervisor and say, hey, I get free supervision on my job, I don't need to pay for supervision, but I want to have an outside voice. I want to have
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I can talk to about a clinical matter that I may not get to have a conversation with about work. So when you
Mm-hmm.
have a supervisor, you have one person who's in your corner. If they're your supervisor, their license is on the line with your license. So they're going to be really protective of you and the things that you do. And
Right.
so a lot of new clinicians just find the first job that gives them free supervision. And I
Mm-hmm.
completely get that. And I do want you to take advantage of all of that free supervision. But I also want you to find a supervisor that you can pay. And you will find a lot of times with supervision, you get what you pay for. And so I've noticed that a lot of young clinicians are on jobs and they're more in staff meetings where we're talking about things of the workplace as opposed to really developing you as a clinician. And
Right.
so I really want people to start paying for supervision. If you can just figure out how to do, I don't know, a couple of Uber rides or something a month so that you can at least meet with an outside supervisor once a month, once every other month. They're really going to help you with your professional development. They're really going to help you with developing clinically, and just good kind of mentorship and advice that you may not get from
Mm-hmm.
your job, even though you're there getting free supervision. Like I get it, I understand it, but I really do believe that new clinicians should find at least one supervisor that they can pay that's off their job that they can really good get information from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number
I
number 5.
agree. I agree. Can I share? I want to share a story off of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an supervisee, when I was, and I had free supervision
Yeah.
from the CSB that I was working for, and it felt like it was more, we were all so rushed. And so
Yeah.
it was like clinical slash administrative
Right.
type of supervision
Right.
for the whole time.
Right.
And so I never felt like I was just really in there doing some of that work.
Yeah.
But that on the other side of that, as a manager, an administrator right now, providing supervision to my own staff, what I will say, in addition to paying for your own supervision,
Mm-hmm.
when you go to look for that free supervision, ask them, what type of supervision is it? Is
Yeah.
it group supervision? Is it including in the team meeting? Or
Right.
is it separate? Will I get my own supervision? That way you know what you're walking into and the quality of supervision you're actually going to get.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. That was such a great story. All right. Number 6, Samantha. You got number 6.
All right, so number 6 is when you start supervision, one of the things that I harp on at the beginning of starting a supervisory relationship is learn to manage your paperwork. Like, come up with your systems and everything, because this right here is going to be huge.
Yeah. You know what? We might should do a video specifically on a good system. We might do it. All right.
I agree, because you don't really know and you're just trying to figure it out, and then you write a little something here, and then you write on another notebook the date, and then at the end of that 3 years you don't have any of those notebooks, folders. So you really have to be organized. Ask your supervisor, what are some ways I can manage my paperwork? Because I give suggestions and forms that you can use, and then I will also sign them each time that you come to supervision. Which my next point is, get your supervisor's signature along the way. Okay?
Yeah.
Because Natalie and I, I'm thinking about, you don't want to think about. Anyway, so Natalie and I both have experiences with someone or for ourselves in which we had to look for our supervisor to sign paperwork, which we know that's a journey in itself, because so many things can happen. Your supervisor can move to Timbuktu. They can move anywhere, or they can, leave the field, just leave that job. I mean, and you have to go and find them to get that signature. And so that's number 6, is really learning how to manage your paperwork at the beginning, so you don't find yourself in a situation where you don't have what you need at the end.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. All right, my number 7 is that new clinicians to the field don't read the law. And lately, the state of Georgia has been amending the law and changing the law. It feels like about every 6 months is something different. It's probably only once a year, but it feels like every 6 months something different. And so I'm finding my supervisees are not reading the law. Like, I'm having to tell them, but wait, this is your license. Like, you should know the law. You should know the law. You should read the law. I would say every 6 months, you need to read the law. You need to see what changes the board is making, and you need to be very aware of those. So take the time, and you need to know the law for yourself. You need to know exactly how many supervision hours you need. You need to know exactly how many clinical hours you need. Not only read the law, you need to read the application. So not just the APC application, but you need to read the LPC application. So you know when it's time for you to fill out that paperwork, exactly what's going to be required of you. And then that'll also help you be able to organize your paperwork along the way, because you know what the end goal is. So my number 7 to you guys is, please, please, please read the law and know the law for yourself. So I've known some students, clinicians, new clinicians to the field, they've gotten in trouble, even maybe with a supervisor who wasn't qualified, or they wind up working at a facility that didn't fit, all because they did not know the law for themselves. So you've got to know the law for yourself. So please, 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 please read the law for yourself. So mistake number 7 is y'all don't read the law.
Yes.
All right, so mistake number 8.
All right, so mistake number 8, the biggest mistake that I see of all
Uh-huh.
is clinicians are just not enjoying the journey. We can get so bogged down in wanting to rush through all of these mistakes happening all at once, not wanting to explore or just diving in. And believe me, when you get out there, someone's going to put you to work,
Yep.
not
Yep.
managing that paperwork and
Yep.
all of these questions running through your head, and you don't take the time to really
Yeah.
enjoy the journey. You've
Right.
worked so hard to get here. You should enjoy it.
Right. You definitely should enjoy
You
it.
should really take this time to ask questions. Meet people like Natalie.
And
Talk to them
Samantha.
and just get to know who's around you, because when you start meeting people, you really start learning so much about yourself, so
That's
much
true.
about where you want to go professionally. And once
Yeah.
you get to the end of your journey, it doesn't look like a big blur. It
Right.
actually
Right.
looks
Right.
like you went on a long journey and now you reached your goal.
Right, right. I want to piggyback off of that because some of the friendships that I've made along this journey have been so rich and so full, and
Hmm.
they have just really made me feel like I've never felt alone. And I hear clinicians say it's so lonely. I've never felt alone.
Hmm.
Or I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm the only one. I've never felt that because I have connections because we've done lunch along the way. We've just enjoyed each other, and so like I still have friends that I graduated with. Like one of my friends, Elise, and I feel like she's my business BFF because
Hmm.
we have maintained those relationships. So we know you want to get your hours, and we know getting to that next level is so important, but enjoy the moments. Enjoy
Yes.
each and every moment. So, well, those are our 8 mistakes we feel that young new clinicians to the field make. Again, I'm a supervisor. I
Hmm.
have my CTCS for LAPCs, and I'm working on my supervision designation for AAMFT as well. I do supervision in my practice in Marietta. And so if you want to get in contact with me, please just go visit the website at atlantasextherapy.com, and you'll have all my information there. And Samantha, she does supervision online, people. Isn't that great? And I think on the weekend. So Samantha, tell them all about
Yes.
how they can get in contact with you if they need a good supervisor.
All right. So, like Natalie said, I do supervision online. I can do it at nights or on the weekends. And you can contact me by going to my website at www.therapyforladies.com.
All right. All right. Well, guys, again, it was great making this video. We had such a good time. If you need us, reach out to us and we will try our best to help you. So I hope you guys have just a wonderful day. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.